Hi there, this is Gary Ryan Blair, and I've got a question for you. Ever wonder what it means to be the canary in the coal mine? See, life for a canary in a coal mine can be described with three simple words: short, but meaningful. The mining occupation has always been among the most hazardous, largely due to poor ventilation systems. So, the solution is to bring a yellow canary down to the mine with you. So why is that? Well, it's actually very simple. Canaries are especially sensitive to methane and carbon monoxide, which make them ideal for detecting any dangerous gas buildups. As long as the bird keeps singing, the miners know that their air supply is safe. But a dead canary signals an immediate evacuation, as in, drop everything and run for the exit. Lest you're wondering if I finally stepped off the curb into oncoming traffic, I encourage you to see this message to its conclusion, as this post is meant to serve as an early warning signal that could very well save you from becoming the canary in your very own coal mine. So, let's talk about it. Let's talk about occupational hazards. An occupational hazard is defined as a working condition that can lead to a physical or psychological pain and even death. And it's worth noting that all occupations have hazards, so let's talk about the four main types of occupational hazards. The first are chemical hazards. We're talking about exposure to chemical substances which cause injury when they're absorbed through the skin and inhaling or ingesting. As a result, people may suffer from respiratory diseases, skin diseases, allergy, heart disease, cancer, and neurological disorders. The second are biological hazards. These hazards are manifested by diseases caused by bacteria, fungi, viruses, insects, dietary deficiencies, excessive drinking, allergies, brain fever, imbalances, and tetanitis. All of these impact upon a person's health. The third are environmental hazards. Environmental hazards may include noise, air and water pollution, vibration and shocks, radiation, excessive heat and cold, heights and unstable flooring, as well as poor ventilation. These hazards cause redness of eyes, genetic disorders, cancer, sterility, hearing loss, nerve injury, and many types of physical pain. And the fourth are psychological hazards. These types of hazards include stress caused by various stressors, such as task and role demands, organizational leadership, unfocused goals, deadlines and quotas, lack of group cohesion, interpersonal conflicts, value conflicts, bias and bigotry, sexual harassment, rapid technological changes, as well as life and career changes. These type of hazards lead to emotional disturbances which impact self-esteem, self-worth, enthusiasm, and peace of mind, and which in turn lead to energy depletion, physical exhaustion, and impaired health. And for the purpose of this message, we're going to focus on the enormous impact of both environmental and psychological hazards. People like to think that they have a strong character, and that this character of theirs will endure no matter the situation. Well, it's not really so. Let me explain. See, people are highly vulnerable to the incentives and the behaviors of their environment. And often the best that a person can do, that is, if they want to behave in a certain manner, is to choose carefully the environment that will go to work on his or her character. An occupational hazard of the internet blogger, YouTuber, or Instagram influencer, for instance, is that she becomes the sort of person who says whatever she thinks will get her the most attention, the most likes, and the most shares, rather than what she knows is true, tasteful, and informative. She does this so often that she forgets the difference. An occupational hazard for anyone in the media business is that in their rush to be the first to break the news and obtain bragging rights, that they place speed, bias, and personal opinion ahead of the truth and facts, and in doing so, they forsake their journalistic responsibilities. An occupational hazard for someone who works for an undisciplined, unenthusiastic, unfocused, or morally deficient manager or company is that they lower their standards, they conform to mediocrity, and they simply waste some of the best years of their lives. An occupational hazard for a politician is that by taking money from lobbyists, they immediately become yes men and little more than pawns, mere servants for the private interest of their paying masters. They become seduced by the power and privilege of their office, and they spend more time focused on getting reelected and less time on serving the needs of the very people who voted for them. The occupational hazards of being a CEO or even a board member for a public corporation is a temptation, when deciding how to behave, wind up placing too little weight on long-term decisions and far too much weight on short-term quarterly goals and appeasing shareholders' greedy demands for a quick profit. And for those in a position of power and influence in any vocation, an occupational hazard is to believe that they are beyond reproach, and rather than use their power and influence to help, to serve, empower, and lift up others, they do the exact opposite. They intimidate, They bully, harass, and control. An occupational hazard for an ambitious young person who goes to work at an investment banking firm is that they become easily corrupted by the system. And rather than build a life of substance and contribution, they soon go to work gaming rating companies and designing securities to fail so they might make a killing off the investors they dupe into buying them. They actively go to work on rigging various markets at the expense of the wider society and encouraging all sorts of people to do stuff with their capital and their companies that they have no business in doing. The intense pressure to conform, to not make waves, to simply go along with the accepted norm has got to be one of the most depressing experiences of life. A true occupational hazard, a trap that far too many people have fallen victim to. Remember that what you put up with, you end up with. That's why you must understand that the greatest influences in your life is your environment. See, the environment we find ourselves in affects our moods, our ability to form relationships, our effectiveness in our work or play, our health, our earning ability, our grades in school, peace of mind, self-confidence, attitudes, our belief system. Our environment impacts everything. Now, I want you to imagine yourself in an environment where you're challenged, supported, and feel alive, more alive than you have in years. I want you to imagine yourself in an environment where your talents are nurtured, where risk-taking was encouraged, and where your passion and creativity is unleashed. I want you to imagine yourself in an environment where integrity, where honor and doing the right thing was applauded, where transparency was truly transparent, and where trust and respect were the only acceptable forms of behavior. I want you to imagine yourself in an environment that reinforces the mindset that you need, that helps you drive the results that you want, and encourages you to take the necessary steps to live the life that you deserve. Wouldn't you feel like you could do anything? That the world was your proverbial oyster? That no force on earth could possibly stop, spook, or slow you down in any way? Well, it's time for you to recapture your passion, your playfulness, your curiosity, and your inner strength to transform and to fast-track absolutely anything that you want in life. And as mentioned previously, people are highly vulnerable to the incentives and the behaviors of their environment. And often the best that a person can do, that is, if he wants to behave in a certain manner, is to choose carefully the environment that will go to work on his or her character. A large part of being successful in life depends upon each one of us utilizing and managing our environment to assist us in living a life of excellence and personal mastery. So watch yourself, protect and love yourself, and be very aware of falling victim to occupational hazards. Because if you don't, you'll quickly suck the oxygen and the integrity out of your character and become the canary in your very own self-created coal mine. And to learn how to maximize your environment and perform at the peak of your potential, be sure to participate in the 100-Day Challenge at 100daychallenge.com and make it the very next thing you do.